Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Edison Bob. Today, I want to do something new. I'm going to do a deep dive into peaq network. Peaq network is one of the protocols building on Polkadot, and it's a DePin network, decentralized physical infrastructure. And it's one of the most interesting projects, I would say, in DePin overall, but also in the Polkadot ecosystem. Every time I am at a Web3 conference, you see a peaq booth somewhere with an interesting booth and quite a lot of people being interested in it. And it's one of those projects that are targeting industry, that are targeting the machine economy, and that go a little bit over the head of the typical retail person like me. And so this is why I did not have so much time so far to look into it. And I was thinking to change it a little bit. So today we're going to do a little bit of a deep dive. And it's two things at the same time. It is a deep dive into peaq network, but it is also that I'm showing a little bit of my process of how I'm doing research into a project that is new for me. And it's also an invitation to you to share whatever you know, and you can drop your questions or comments into chat. Maybe it's just not questions, ideas, research ideas into chat, and then we can look at them together. And yeah, this is how I want to find more out about peaq. And I was thinking I'm taking you with me on the journey. So all of this started last Friday when I announced that I'm going to do the deep dive. And I said, give me some comments, tell me what to look into. So I did my own research on the side a little bit. I used my trusted friend ChatGPT, and together with ChatGPT and your inputs and what we will find on the website of peaq and the other websites, we will learn a little bit more about peaq. So to start us off, I want to draw your attention to this chart here. I want to draw your attention to this chart here, which is what recently piqued my interest again. So that is the 5 million accounts that are onboarded on peaq network. And they split it up into two different things. They split it up into machines. So 3 million machines and 2 million humans. So that's the first thing that caught my attention. So yeah, of course, it makes sense. You have the machine economy, but what does it actually mean? So I want to do a few different things, and I'm going to put down some research questions. And if you have additional questions for me that I should look into, then you can just let me know. So the questions I want to cover today are, what is peaq, of course. I think we will have an easier time answering that. Then what projects are on peaq? And I would say interesting projects. Then we want to learn about relevant KPIs, metrics, and so on. And yeah, we will start from there. And it's a deep dive session. So it is not scripted, it is not planned. It's more like a organic exploration that we can do together. So I prepared two sources that I think are relevant. One of them is the Messari crypto report, State of Peaq, Q2 2025. Messari is always a good source to get started because they keep eyes on everything. And then it's peaq's own native report keeping up with the ecosystem. So I think this is a good start because it is written for people that are new to the whole thing, that want to learn more, that maybe are crypto Web3 native, and that are ready to dive deeper. So this is how we'll start together. I will start taking notes on the side here, and then we go from there. There is also some comments that you provided on Twitter, so we will also take a look at whatever you commented. And yeah, during the session, if you have any comments, I will also look at those comments and make sure that we go into them. So I will also place them here on the side. Hey Alice, I have a question. Please check out their Dune dashboard. Why are there no more than 2 projects live on peaq since launch? No more onboarding since mainland launch. Okay, we will look into this. From everything that I hear, there's quite a few projects. It's typically when you have things like this, it's not everything is reflected on Dune. It depends on the capacity. But yeah, we will go through it step by step. And I want to start by looking at peaq's own report about what's going on in the ecosystem. So the thing that you always hear on Twitter is that they talk about the machine economy. And this is the chart that I just mentioned here. Okay, we see 40 million transactions. That's a very, very typical. Thank you, Leo. Okay, so their native token is peaq, and they have a staking. They have 1.4 billion tokens staked. So that's also a question that we can dive a little bit into. What are the tokenomics, and how do we treat them? Tokenomics. All right. So okay, what I see here is that they have validators, on-chain stats, roadmap updates. Okay. Yeah, so this is the first interesting thing because peaq is built on Polkadot technology. They have a lot of throughput that they can tap into. So what they currently have ready on the testnet, and they're about to roll this out on Polkadot as soon as elastic scaling becomes available. 65,000 transactions per second and 400 millisecond block times. They have an SDK in JavaScript, they have an SDK in Python. So of course, they are a product that is built for the machine economy, and this is different specific projects, so they need to have an SDK. Okay, they talk about the DEX, and then bridges, aggregators, wallet. Squid is a data indexing platform, OKX wallet integration, and then of course we want to look at the peaq website. So machine economy free zone, is it a marketing thing or is it something that is more tangible? United Arab Emirates. Okay, machine economy free zone, a dedicated hub in the UAE designed to accelerate deployment. Okay, this seems like it's maybe a regulatory sandbox or something where there is space to explore. Yeah, sandbox. Machine tokenization and universal basic ownership. Interesting. Okay, they are active on Kaito. And here we see that about the events, they're involving government officials. The Messari report. Okay, that's the first technical thing that I see that is interesting. Of course, I'm always looking into technical stuff. Okay, what we see here is the Machine DeFi stack. So peaq, DePin incentive pools. What is Deep AI? Interesting. Yeah, you can also drop me links in chat, then I can follow up with them. And so maybe I take some notes here. What is oops. Deep AI and decentralized AI infra. Okay, we can take a look at that. Yeah, keep bombing me with questions. We will go through all of it. It's a research focused session, so I will not have the answers today, but we will work through the workflow together of how we can find out. New peaq documentation went live. Intercognitive foundation promoting development infrastructure, good. Vios. Okay, ecosystem members. So I guess these are the projects that we want to look into. So this is, of course, I would say the thing that is most interesting for people is what actual projects are building on peaq. So let's call this the peaq ecosystem and look a little bit into what we have here. MachineX is a machine economy DEX. A1 went live on peaq and listed on MachineX. Privacy-focused DePin. Silencio. I heard about Silencio. MachineX partnered with Steer protocol. Smart pools to the DEX. Okay. IG3 announced migration to peaq. Okay, migration is always a good sign. It's either a sign of consolidation or maybe another project is not doing so good or it just has the better technology stack. Versed. I feel like before we look too much into the projects, we should actually get a grasp on what the tech stack is. Yeah, maybe let's look a little bit at the tech stack before we dive too deep into the project. Okay, so we have peaq, we have a machine subsidization protocol, DePin incentive pools, machine DEX. Okay, so what they do here is they provide the capital rails. So whenever you have something on the internet of value and machines are what they're working with, you need capital rails, how you can how you can provide money, capital, etc. for the usage. And all of this seems very, let's say, classical DeFi focused in terms of providing the capital rails. From the token side, one thing that always stops me from fully diving into this type of projects is the market cap fully diluted valuation and token release. Would be cool to check their token unlocks project revenue and compare them side by side. This is a good hint, and I will also set ChatGPT to do a little bit of a research into that. Do a deep dive analysis of the peaq token of peaq network, and we will send this off so that we can get the result a little bit later when we look into it. Okay, DePin Basecamp 2 participants. Sounds like a hackathon or an incubator or something. 5 teams joining the DePin Basecamp. Yeah, it's an accelerator. Interesting. Good. Might look into that. Quake Core and SkyX announced partnership. Okay, that's quite a lot of stuff. Integrating real-time community weather data from SkyX. All right. So Biddle, DePin, better, SkyX. Yeah, we had that. Grant updates. Good. So they have a grant program. Very big. Vagoy, we know Vagoy from Polkadot, hit its first milestone, enabling you to take control of cars' mobility data. Learn more here. Something of my personal interest. Anyone protocol. Good. So I'm going to open all of this in the background. And then we have a peaq ecosystem map. Okay, this is very good. So what do we have here? DePins. So each of them is a DePin. That's quite a lot. With integrations. Yeah, so I see other crypto projects here. But I don't know too many of these names. Layer 0 Wormhole, Ocean Protocol, Enterprises and SMEs. Okay, this is interesting. Telekom, Lufthansa, Bosch, Airbus, Audi, Mastercard, Fraunhofer. And then wallet integrations, Ledger, Talisman, Subwallet, Nova Safe. Okay, so embedded in the Polkadot ecosystem, but they are clearly their own ecosystem, and this plays into the strengths of building on Polkadot. New DePins. Okay, and then we have quite a few more. This is too much for a live stream, guys. The ecosystem is too much for a live stream, so we will need to cover some basics. Integrations. I'm gonna skip the integrations. And then media highlights, state of peaq on the Messari report. I think this is what we will dig into next. A full pouch, you're not too late. We are just starting our dig into everything. Welcome to the peaq ecosystem. Okay, so welcome to Machine DeFi guides. What robots need to operate is DP AI. Combined and peaq, a cure for blackouts. Okay, and then this is basically use cases benefits. How to stake. What are machine real-world assets? Start building on peaq, get your idea funded, build peaq, join the community. Okay, this is impressive for a first impression. Yeah, so, okay, what do we have? We have a little bit of a layout here with a machine, RWAs, initial machine offerings, machine bonds, okay? So it's all about connecting the internet of value with the machine economy. Machine, real-world asset, yield baskets, machine insurance, AI to AI payments, institutional products. Okay, so once AI takes over the planet, we can have some AI to AI payments facilitated via peaq. Machine composability, machine-to-machine markets, autonomous machine investing, self-governed machine DAOs, machine microeconomies. This is a whole universe. Okay, this is super interesting. And I would say it's ambitious. So I would be curious. Yeah, I think we will figure this out through the ecosystem. But before we go too deep into the ecosystem, 2 things. I want to read the Messari research report. And then, because a few of you requested this, maybe have a glance at the tokenomics first and the basic website. Okay, so Messari report. Average daily active addresses. Good. daily transactions, protocol revenue. Okay, so the protocol itself does marginal revenue so far, which is not a big issue. Initially, you want to get a lot of traction, and then later on you can focus on economy. But we'll have to figure out how it relates to the token. Machine economy free zone. Yeah. So I'm gonna mark this down since it's popping up on multiple places. Machine economy free zone, and we will see what it means. But I would say in general, it sounds like a regulatory sandbox. Machine X, the DEX. Yeah, we can also look a little bit about how much TVL is there, how much volume is there. Good. Started in 2017, focused on integrating blockchain with Internet of Things. So 2017 means they have 8 years on the backs right now in already being in crypto, which means they have a long breath. Okay, investors are Animoca Brands, Hashkey, GSR, Moonrock. These are the ones that speak to me where I know something. Decentralized Physical AI. And then 53 DePins. And this is a link to one of their own websites. Okay, price. Okay, market cap. We have a market cap here. We can look at this in a second. I also just got my report from ChatGPT about looking into the tokenomics. So this is the thing we will look at next. Revenue. It's a start. Okay, financial analysis. Circulating market cap. I don't like these custom metrics, but okay, we have 300. Okay, $74 million. During okay, this market cap, this the revenue. Okay, let's see if there's something big relevant that speaks to us more than these vanity metrics. Total transactions we see is 4.7 million in a quarter, 7 million in the previous quarter. Okay, so they already have 10 million transactions. Devices, 1.4 million devices, but you see that the numbers went down a little bit, so we have to check out what was going on here. Good. Daily active transactions. I think this is fairly stable. This doesn't, and it also looks fairly organic to me, if you ask me. It's not like boop, 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 like too stable. This looks fairly organic. And I would say a lot of developer and test interest also, and then some things are consolidating. New machine and device users. Good. Total issuance. This is how much is staked, 1/3. Okay. So here we see the mention of their ecosystem. Edge intelligence. What is edge intelligence? Does someone know? Air quality, wearable sensors, drone part, project making high resolution maps. So I had a question about the token. Is it available on Nova Wallet? Definitely a newbie question. I just saw in this other screenshot here in the ecosystem map that the wallets, Talisman subwallet, Nova Wallet are supporting it. It depends on what you mean by available, but it seems like it should be available on Nova Wallet. And you can fairly easily check it out. Nova Wallet, you can install it on every phone, and you don't necessarily need to have tokens on the wallet. You can just create a new wallet and check out what's available. Nova Wallet is a pretty nice wallet. Community-powered e-mobility platform. Okay, I'm gonna open even more tabs here. Geospatial 3D mapping platform, peer-to-peer. I have to say, this is what Web3 was built for. Web3 is here to bring actual real-world stuff and connect it in the Internet of Value. So actually looks fairly interesting. Feel like I should reach out to some guys from Kite and learn more. Decentralized cybersecurity network, top DePins by new users. Okay, so this is where you see how many users are in a DePin. and we see that Silencio was doing good. I heard about them this year. And then Teneo. Okay, so okay, I'm gonna start taking notes here. It's just hard when you have so many projects. Where should you start? I feel a little bit thrown back. In 2021, I was coming into the Polkadot ecosystem, and in the beginning, it was just overwhelming how many projects are in Polkadot. It was just impossible. There was so many projects, and it took me like half a year or a year, I would say, at least a year to get an overview about everything that's going on in Polkadot. And I have a little bit of feeling reminded by that. Okay, so Teneo, Silencio, these are user-heavy projects. And then we have map metrics here. Combine the here. Okay, good. Let's see what we have here. A navigation DePin collecting real-time geospatial data and decentralized virtual power plant onboarding distribution. Okay, so there's two things to this. First of all, if you build technology and you want to integrate against the technology that supports what you do so that you have as little effort as possible. So for example, if I want to just run a regular script that I'm writing, and for example, I'm writing this very simple spreadsheet and it updates once per hour. So it fetches data from the cloud, it does a little bit of math, and then it updates the data table. For those things, you want to have as little effort as possible. So what you're looking for is technologies that make it, that you have technologies that make it as simple as possible for you to just get your job done. And so you have a project succeeding when you have a platform succeeding or an SDK succeeding when it can provide this to developers, where it's just easy to build on top of that. That's number one. And then number two, what you have to ask for blockchains is there any kind of network effects? So if you have 10 different projects building on that blockchain or that platform, will there be some kind of overlap? Typically, what is being mentioned is that there is capital rails, so you can use capital from other things. And then in crypto, it's often expected, you say, Ethereum has so many users, right? And this means that once you launch something in Ethereum, you will be able to attract users, which is true to some sense. But then when you look at, for example, Google Cloud or Amazon Web Services, these are used by millions of developers. And when they come to the platform, they're not asking, can I get users from a different project, right? So I think when you target a big market, and peaq is targeting the machine economy, it's just there might be some network effects once you have products in a similar niche, but it's also just completely sufficient if you provide a good SDK. And then capital, for example, access to payments and so on. peaq vested emission offerings, DePin Basecamp, Kaito. Okay, machine economy zone, machine DeFi stack. I think this is what we are already looking at here. Network level incentive pools. Okay, so this sounds like they do a revenue sharing. Or the incentive pools, maybe they are rewarding based on activity. Yeah, incentivize the growth of DePins building on peaq and subsidize the onboarding of machine RWAs. So they have some kind of incentive of when you build on them, they funnel maybe like incentive towards you. Actually, this is very interesting for my research for DOT itself at the moment. All right. Okay, I would say the roadmap. Okay, let's open up the roadmap too. Decentralized Physical AI. So that's the question we had previously. While Machine DeFi and Machine RWAs introduce financial tools and ownership models for machines, the next step in equipping those machines with the intelligence to operate independently. Okay, so we get smart robots, we get smart machines. Imagine the prompt to an AI and it says, you are a toaster. And then it allows like an AI to speak on behalf of the toaster. Ability to interact, make decisions, and transact on-chain becomes essential. This shift is taking shape with the emergence of decentralized physical AI a model that integrates robotics, agentic AI, and Web3 infrastructure into a new layer of the machine economy. Nice. This is interesting. In Q2 2025, multiple projects on peaq demonstrated progress in enabling machines to function autonomously and create value on chain. Okay, so if I were an AI, I would totally pick peaq. Okay, hardware, software, data, spatial intelligence, so understanding what's in a room or in a space, infrastructure, networks, machine economy, DAOs. Okay, and then we have these that were mentioned. So we have Teneo, Silencio, SkyX. SkyX I also saw already a few mentions. Contribute critical sensor data to the network. Okay, so now they're showing how everything connects. So projects such as Silencio, sound, I think, Sky was the weather, and Teneo, I forgot about it, contribute critical sensor data to the network. In Q2, Veraset, a major mobility and location intelligence provider, integrated Silencio's noise level dataset. Okay, so they're integrating. SkyX weather feeds were integrated by Quake Core to detect early signs of hurricanes and tsunamis, showing how DePin data can inform urgent decision making. Pretty cool. New projects such as Alpha AI and OVR joined the peaq ecosystem this quarter to strengthen the spatial intelligence layer, using drone swarms and geospatial networks to build maps that help machines navigate environments independently. Okay. This is actually cool. This sounds interesting. Yeah. So I see someone posting the link here to Tim's recent tweet. I just have to open it up separately because if you post links, I cannot directly access them. But I know that Tim, I think, has shared. I think you're referencing to what Tim has shared. So I'm going to look this up in a second. Okay. Meanwhile, peaq joined Intercognitive with its first contribution being universal machine time to provide coordination to the machine economy layer. In terms of DAO, okay, all of this makes me actually very bullish for peaq. So far, like peaq, my first contact with peaq was 2 years ago, I believe, when they spoke at Polkadot Dakota 2023. That was in Copenhagen. And what I already found cool back then was that they were presenting eLoop. And eLoop is a project of car sharing in Vienna, and they had securitized tokens. So you could buy a token and get sort of a share of the revenue that they were making. And so the idea was they sell the tokens, and then from the profit they make or from the revenue they make on the tokens, they buy new cars for the fleet. And the idea was that the token holders would own a part of the fleet, and then they could have a share of the profit, or they would just get a minutes and could participate in a car sharing and basically could drive cars for free. I think at least this was the idea that they wanted to give. But now when I read all of this is actually very interesting how they are connecting sensors and then allow other projects to integrate it. And then, for example, they detect early signs of hurricanes and tsunamis. I would say the thing that is always somehow I'm wondering is if this is open data, why would so you have less of an incentive to pay for open data when it's already available because you can just take it. I think what would be interesting is if you need certain data that you can pay for it to be openly available. But sort of, I think this is a game theoretic, interesting question if that is actually something that can happen. Okay. Depends on peaq. Edge data intelligence. What is edge? Ira Labs, Alpha AI. Okay, and then we have lots more projects. Okay, I would say since this is all a lot, I want to dig a little bit deeper into some of the projects at least. So I will also consult the tweets and comments you have been posting. But before we do that, because we had a few questions, let's actually look at the tokenomics. So what we see here is, and maybe let's start simple and say peaq tokenomics. Crypto rank. And I actually want to start even simpler, but is there no official question? No official page? Okay, then I will actually consult my ChatGPT. Peaq token underpins a Polkadot substrate layer 1. Okay, what do we have? So we have 70 million market cap and 270 million fully diluted, which means there is a supply cap. And that means a fourth of the tokens have been brought in circulation. That's not too much. So this is typically something that does not make me too happy, because it means that I don't trust a fully diluted as a valuation. Typically what I think is when more tokens get in circulation, the market cap just stays the same, because that's what it's currently valued at. Okay, but let's see. So price, how has price been doing? This is today. Okay, January. Okay, let's look a little bit further into the past. Okay, it seems the token has just launched, but I'm gonna actually go to CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap, and we're gonna look at the peaq token on CoinMarketCap before we draw any conclusions. So all time. Okay, it seems the token launched just recently, had a pump, could be possible that they listed on a centralized exchange, and then okay, fading down. Good. Okay. So token utility, fees, staking, governance. How is governance doing? And then machine functions. So access to primitives. Yeah, I think this is where the value and the premium comes from. 4.2 billion peak, and circulating right now is 1 billion peak. Inflation is 3.5%, and then it drops 10% every year. So we had a fourth to investors, 15% to core contributors, 16% community program, 15% ecosystem and treasury, and then there was an inflation bucket, and there was network security. I hope that this audits. Market performance, Kraken. Okay, down 91%. Not untypical for crypto. 53 DePins. All right. Fee capture. Okay, there's at least some fee capture. Good. Okay, thank you for that. Peaq token. What do they have for us here? Not too much. Ah, yeah. Okay, and then there is an info page here. Investors. Okay, this is this is pretty informative. You don't always see tokenomics pages like this. Then there's a little bit of a table. All right. Okay, closing this, closing the tokenomics page. Okay, closing Masari. What is DePi? Okay, I think we just learned about that, so we can also close that one. Welcome to the peaq system. Good. I would say we go by, okay, 365 AI, unlock the power of AI-driven insights at the edge. What is edge? Data. You can download an app. Edge AI. Okay. Aira Lab, we breathe, now smarter with Aira. Okay, so this is one of the sensor projects, I believe. Air quality. Aira's wearable air quality sensor. Yeah, so I think in general, I'm always curious, and I'm really believe that in the future a lot of I'm captured by this idea of smart cities, where you have a lot of sensors deployed in the city and it captures data, and then this data can be used in various ways. I'm not so sure. I mean, I think what they are doing here is they want to capture air quality data, but then why would someone capture air quality data for you? I mean, you can reward it a little bit, but I personally, I would not expect that I can earn substantial amounts of money from capturing the air quality. So I think what you have to do is you have to market it as a lifestyle product where people might care about the air quality, which is true in many parts of the world. And so they carry this device around for themselves so that they can measure the air quality for their own quality of life. And then at the same time, they also want to share it because they feel like there is a benefit to it. Okay, Alpha AI vision-based spatial analysis for building and infrastructure inspection. Interesting. Optimize your fleets, monetize your miles is an all-in-one platform for cutting fleet costs, generating carbon revenue, and guaranteeing your ESG reports are audit-proof. Okay, this is actually a nice value proposition to have. Yeah, I think the interesting thing would be to see how these projects are doing and learning about that. Over the reality, the world's largest 3D map. Okay, can I see? Okay, I can buy the data and I can map the data. Okay, it's the first app I want to try. Is there something? Ooh, okay. What is this? What can I see here? OVL lens. There's actually something here. What is this? What is happening in Frankfurt? Why is it always getting smaller? Wait, what is this showing to me? I guess this should tell me something. Ooh. Frankfurt, latest price. What is this? Is it an NFT? Is it something useful? Why are people selling land? What is this? 3D models. Is this like a virtual reality experience? What is this? What am I getting into? Okay, let's go back to the start. Let's go back to the start. What are we looking at? It's a 3D map. Okay, so Megan says ESG is pretty much deprecated. Yeah, I don't know. It always feels to me like this is something you have to do when you're a big corporation in some countries or so. Or is it for customers, or is it that states want this? Okay, and then a full patch. Yeah, sorry. Carbon revenue is nothing but a grift. Nothing to do with actual environmental stewardship. Yeah, I don't know too much about it. My understanding is that at some level, states request you to do it as a corporation, and then you have to buy carbon credits. AI models and robotics data, training large geospatial models with our comprehensive 3D mapping data, powering machine. Okay, this is good. What can I do? Okay, I mean, I get the business case. I was just wondering if I can maybe enter an app and do something. Map to earn. How much can I earn? I can go around in my town and map everything if you pay me. I would do it in the whole of Vienna. If I could make a living from just walking around town, I might consider it. All right. Okay, closing this one. What do we have here next? Threefold, built for everyone, by everyone, everywhere. Fully operational, decentralized internet infrastructure. This tells me nothing. I'm sorry. Deployed locally, scalable globally. I'm sorry, but this is a very bad mission statement. I have no clue. Why is everyone everywhere? For what? What kind of internet infrastructure? Is it like net? Is it like routers? I'm sorry. Okay. So this is a tokenomics page. This was the incentive pools. Funds allocated here are dedicated to incentivizing or rewarding the on-chain expansion of DePin's building on peaq. Okay, nice. Good. Closing this one. Roadmap. Good. What do we have here? Yeah. Generating roadmaps. Possible. Okay, I see a little bit of a tech roadmap. Yeah, Q3, they're launching 65,000 TPS. This is nice. Imagine, like last year on Polkadot, we had 140,000 transactions per second. And that was 23 cores. 143 transactions per second and 23 cores. And now this project here alone is announcing that they're going for 65,000 TPS. And I guess they go for 12 cores. And then you have to consider with the recent upgrades, actually, this number might even go up, or they need less cores to achieve the same thing. Good. Machine DeFi, DEX, machine RWA. Okay, so I think this is what makes sense to pay attention to, because here, if you look at the markets, this is where you can measure the success of what's going on. peaq's ID pay, verify, and access functions are very appealing, and it's clear that they would be an excellent foundation for DePin. Okay, thank you, Harry Chan. I have not encountered these keywords, so I would need to learn I would need to understand where I can learn more about this, but I'm putting this comment on top because this is something that we have not encountered yet. Okay, pilots get paid in tokens to map hexagonal airspaces. Okay, so it's not from walking around. Does peaq have any more amazing possibilities for functions that directly interact with the real world, or that affects physical objects? Yeah, I would say I think this is formulated in a very elegant way. That how does it affect the real world? Get real official launch. Okay, good. Okay, we already had this. Machine X, first machine economy DEX. So let's look into this, because this gives us maybe some data points on how liquidity and volume looks like. I'm not expecting huge numbers, so I'm not like, if there's not huge numbers, it's not a disappointment for me, but I always like to understand what's going on. And also, what are the tokens that are here? Okay, so I'm sorting by TVL. That's a good starting point. And we have peaq USDT on $1 million. And then they are basically, okay, this is very smart. If you're a project that wants to attract, so you're an ecosystem and you want to attract projects, you need to provide capital rails, how they can get their token listed and how they can access capital. So if someone pays in a native token, or someone is onboarding with dollars, how they can get access to the native token. And so what they do here, what peaq is doing here, is they're pairing everything against the native token. And then, so this is the TVL, and then you see APR, and this is actually 1000% APR. So I would say this is very likely from incentives. Okay, let's see what we can get. So the DEX launched in May. So that's 3 months ago, 2 months ago. Okay, so the DEX launched 2 months ago, a few days of silence. Then they're actually starting it, and then everything is coming in. So I guess typically what you have is that the largest amount of liquidity in DeFi are coming from the actual builders of a project, because they need to provide some initial liquidity. So my guess is that the initial liquidity here is provided either by a whale, early investor, or by the project itself, right? And then you see not too much of a movement, which is also initially not necessary. You just want to provide like the initial liquidity to be able for everyone to access this. And then typically this would be how projects monetize themselves, is by either working with the peaq token or having their own token. But if this is incentivized, this actually looks attractive. What is this? Is it a smart contract? I see. No, it's Subscan. Subscan. And what did I just click on? Is this the liquidity pool? Is this the address of the liquidity pool? It's an EVM address. Peaq, wrapped peaq, and USDT. So they are wrapping, they're sort of running an EVM on top, very likely. And then this is a liquidity pool. So, okay, there's transactions going on occasionally. Yeah, it's Silencio, not Silence. It's Silencio. The project is called Silencio. I will look into it in a minute. Because I think from Silencio, what I was hearing the most from the community. Okay, World's Economic Zone, swoop, swoop, swoop. Anyone is previously re-engineered. AI warfare technology is being used against you. Do not fall for that VPN trick where you are likely getting tracked and logged. Oh no. Okay. So talking about Silencio, this is where we are. We are at Silencio, and this is the project I was hearing about. I would say I was hearing the most yaps about Silencio. So measure noise levels, get rewarded. Okay, so app is a Chrome extension, learn. Why does it look like it is disabled? Okay, there is a Silencio token. Let's check it out on CoinGecko. Okay, it's not an immediate rug pull. It's very good. And we have $4 million market cap. So the question is, how much is noise data worth? When did they list? They listed in February. Okay. Referrals white paper. Yeah, I wonder what the business case is. I mean, you get a noise data and then? Yeah, I mean, Sandra, if you want, you can share your Silencio code and I will show it on screen, because I don't really care about it, and if it makes you happy and if people are getting interested in Silencio here, you can share your code. I won't hunt you down. Okay, so I'm gathering noise data. Steer protocol, turnkey asset management infrastructure. I guess there's an integration partner. Basecamp. Disaster detection. Okay, this is something you can actually monetize because, okay, so here it gets interesting. So the average retail nerd like me would not be, I guess, if I live in maybe if I live in a potential disaster zone, but you know who is interested in this kind of data very much, because every little bit helps. Insurance companies. I think insurance companies have access to the best signals, but in essence, every little bit of signal you can give to an insurance company allows them to improve their pricing, allows them to be more profitable. And so anything that can substantially improve the signals that they're getting, this is what they would be interested in. So an insurance company might be interested in to pay for the data, or maybe even process data, but I think just the raw data by itself in this context would be worthwhile. I think the big challenge is how can you connect all of those stakeholders so that it works out for everyone. Okay, but this looks interesting, and I'm gonna take a link here because this is actually something. You know, when people talk with you about Web3 and tell you how it's like not usable for anything other than financialization, these are the projects you actually want to turn to. These are the projects you actually want to turn to. Okay, so we have a affiliate code referral link. So Sandra is a big fan of Silencio, and if you want to use Silencio, you can use the code CryptoSandra, and then Sandra will get a little bit of a reward for you onboarding into Silencio. Okay, Sky, the Starlink for weather, AI-centric intelligent weather network. Yeah, good. Okay, so what they always go, what I see here is, I mean, it makes sense. So they sell machines, they sell sensor data, and then naturally they integrate with DePin. So this makes sense, like it is like a real a combination of different factors that can play together. Okay, so here it says Japan is a country prone to earthquakes, so I looked into it, but the devices were too expensive, so I gave up. Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. It's really hard to say. I mean, maybe in a few years, but this is something, it makes sense, and it makes even sense to crowdsource and decentralize those kinds of things. But I think it's really hard to how can I put my window to the side? That's not what I wanted. Yeah, it's really hard to sort of put this into a Web3 logic. Okay. Rome, turn your signal into rewards. Signal strength. Okay, another censoring thing. And then, I'm going to keep this open for myself. Anyone is privacy re-engineered? Okay, we had this. Earning gaming, earning computing. DePin infrastructure for building, gaming, and computing. Pre-order DePin device. Okay, I see that selling devices, of course, you have to sell devices. I mean, somehow you have to make revenue. And it's either you sell the data or you sell the devices. So I would say there will be a lot of genuine projects, but this is also sort of, you have certain pressure to sell stuff. Own a Ping laptop for earning. So they're selling you a custom laptop. Oh, okay. So they're selling you a like a gaming device, notebook with a good chip, and a good graphics chip, and then. So they sell you a device and then they tell you you get rewards, but I guess the revenue that they make is from the devices that they're selling. I have SkyX. Okay, I guess, Sandra, you're deep into DePin. Hey, it's really cool to have so many people of you in the chat today. It's really fun. Okay, CPIN, play a role in a clean future. Discover CPIN and start producing clean energy. I can produce clean energy? Clean physical infrastructure network. Renewable energy. Start generating clean energy. Okay, so they're selling panels and then they're connecting. So basically everything where you might take control over some aspect of your life, like, and then you can get additional sensor data, and then I think this is like a specific target group of people that are maybe, I would say, typically not the people living in cities, but maybe people living outside of cities and they have a house, they can install like solar, or they want to measure certain stuff, then you might have devices. I don't know. Alrighty. Okay. But overall, I'm really impressed by the amount of projects that they're having. So what do we have? Video streaming, noise sensor. This is the project that combine all of the data. Okay. Makes it easy to stream data from any IoT device to DePin protocols. Guess, Sandra, this is for you. Supply data to AI. Okay. I guess that could make sense as a way to bring it all together. Welcome to the peaq system. Clean mobility. Very cool. Welcome. I feel like there should be an emoji here that I don't see. Welcome to Machine DeFi. Okay, gonna read this for now. What else do we have? Okay, tokenomics we took a look into, and then we have Veraset, mobility data, and then we have a few more briefings, and then we can, as a conclusion, maybe look into the ChatGPT reports that I have, and maybe we'll learn something that we didn't have, and then also from Herigen, like this ID pay verifies, maybe something that I wanna also see. Okay, Machine DeFi starts now. Decentralized financial system for the machine economy. Okay. Machine DeFi. Okay, network level Machine DeFi Flywheel. Incentive pools, we already had that. Okay, Machine DeFi applications. I feel that DePin's potential in terms of opportunity and agriculture can bring about a revolution. In Japan, it is dominated by an organization called JA. Harry, what do you mean by that in terms of how would that impact happen? Gonna lift that up a little bit. Maybe you can let us know. Okay. So any activity on peaq or Machine DeFi applications generates fees. A percentage of those fees goes into network level incentive pools, subsidizing new machines. As more machines and DePins join peaq, they generate more activity on the network. And okay, so they are basically describing a flywheel, as we often have in DeFi, and they basically say that the fees generated will be used as incentives for future users. All right. Robo-cafes. Okay, so the idea is it's a flywheel. Stablecoins, launch pens, lending and borrowing. Okay, so they're building the whole DeFi stack and then a flywheel. And then they make sure that this industry that by itself does exist and has a natural, I think at the core, it makes sense because if you think about blockchain and Internet of Value, it's about blockchains are big data silos and storage, and you can put a lot of data on blockchain. And connecting it with machines and the data you get from machines makes a lot of sense because it's very decentrally available. If I have a phone here, it might be generating data that is, it's worth maybe like a cent or a fraction of a cent. But if you put it all together, it's worth a lot. And then if you can connect it and process it, it is worth even more. And for these things, you need to have some kind of decentralized coordination. And so a lot of people that are interested in those subtopics have a tendency to get excited about the idea of connecting it all, but making it possible is a really hard challenge. So I would say if you think about the unique value proposition of peaq or DePin, it's about that. Machine microeconomics. Self-governed machine does. Okay, and then this is basically it's applying all of the ideas of Web3 and asking how would it play out in DePin. Welcome to the future where on-chain robots serve coffee and crypto rewards. Okay, I love this. I'm gonna put this here. Okay. Good. What robots need? I think these are basically articles that explain sort of the basics and get people excited. They need a brain, they need a body, also they need actuators, they need sensors, and they need a picture of what is going on in the world. And with an AI, they have a wallet and they have peers. This is very, very nice governance. This is a really nice overview. I love this. Financial system, they need access to capital and they need a backbone that is peaq. Lovely. Machine RWAs. On-chain tokens that represent shares, fractional ownership, or other rights to real-world machines. Okay, makes sense. Tokenized robot cafe. Have you already talked about charge? So is peaq already partnering with governments? Yeah, we saw that. So that question was answered. Where is it? It's the machine economy free zone. So that was, I think, the United Arab Emirates. Fintech Times, Bitcoin Block.de. So peaq. peaq and UAE bet on tokenized machines to power future economy. and they basically launch a regulatory sandbox for experiments. So if that's a topic that interests you, you can look this up as machine economic zones, machine economy free zone. And then, have you talked about charge? I have not. Peak charge, I believe. Charge XYC. Charge XYC has chosen peaq as the home of its DeFi. Let's see what it is. The decentralized, oh no, I did not account it. The decentralized backend for EV charging. Charge enables real-time payments, on-chain authentication, and private charger monetization, all powered by AI-driven data intelligence. Okay. So what's the problem with EV charging that we need blockchain for it? Fees. No easy way to monetize it. Private charging. I see. Okay. Yeah, of course. Every time when you can share energy or like some scarce resource, but it is easy to decentralize it, then it makes sense to have this. Okay, this is charge. Interesting. Good. Okay, I would say we can come close to close it down. Let's check the comments to make sure we captured everything that we had here. So Machine X, we talked about this, and then machine governance. I think we didn't have that. So that's a tweet from I Want Coin News. Decentralized ecosystem giving you a stake in the rise of humanoids and physical AI. Okay, Sandra, for what is that? That is for charge? Okay, so if you're interested in charge and EV charging, your code is here on screen. Decentralized access to humanoid robotics and physical AI. Yeah, I that's what I want to have. I want to have a robot with AI. That's what I'm waiting for. Get Deus. Is it the token? Okay. Yeah, I'm going via VPN, so not every website works. So I guess you're shilling to me that I can get a humanoid robot with AI, and then that you want to sell me a token. This makes me sad. Okay, how much is the post, and is it basically DAO portal? You know, sometimes I feel like people have to be really confused. Imagine you're like a regular non-crypto person and you come to this website and it says you get access to humanoid robots, and you're like, oh, that is so cool. I get access to a robot, and then they say buy our token. Or they go, you get to a DAO portal and you're like, what's a DAO portal? I want robots. Okay, so okay, but that that was a really good tip. Yes, Sandro signed up for every single project. What? Okay, Silencio app. Ooh, Sandra, you have competition. Look, Emil was posting here. Install Silencio network app with my code Emil Kitzmann. Sandra, what do you say to that? Robo industry ready. Okay, yeah. So cheap, but thank you for the link. I cannot see it. I cannot like click it here, but I'm gonna check you in chat. What's up with I don't know. Okay, what is peaq all about? Yeah, projects all built on peaq. We did that, and the difference that are making up the DePin space. Okay, lots of yaps. UBO, Universal Basic Ownership. Universal Basic Ownership is something I cannot remember coming across. No. UBO, Universal Basic Ownership. Okay, I have to check this out. Fam, what do you think about this chat today? Are you learning something, or like, or what's up? There are so many of us Silencians. Please join our community Discord. We have a lot to share. The problem is I'm too stupid for community Discords. Like, I open them up and then they're on the side, and then I'm never checking them out. I think UMT was the universal machine time, right? I guess it's a way to like agree on time. Vagoy has completed the, yeah, okay. So where are we? I'm losing track of everything. Yeah, we were going for this. Economy of things, concept. Okay, I feel like we went through everything here. So last thing I can offer to you is to go through my ChatGPT results and see if we get any additional things, because I did some Teneo, you're right. Thank you everyone for showing me your favorite projects as protocol, because it's hard to keep track on everything. Decentralized permissions, AI agent network. Ooh, it has a loading screen. It feels like this stream is for everyone to shield something today. Okay, AI starts with you. Be part of a decentralized and permissionless agent network fueling AI with real-time data. Okay. So far, I feel like I have got a grasp on DePin to the point that it works really well with AI. So what do we have here? Learn, build. Where is that part? At Teneo, we believe data should be open, accessible, and fairly distributed. Right now, real-time data and digital trends are locked behind expensive APIs or platform restrictions, while people generating this data get nothing in return. Yada, yada, yada. Start earning. Install, connect, earn. The question is, my friend, so the problem is, if the data is open, who would pay for it? And if you want to offer that people can earn from it, who would pay for it, right? So the way how people pay for data is if it's closed in some way. And it's not that I'm advocating for one of the other. I'm just saying it's a basic conflict of interest in a way, or how do you negotiate between the stakeholders? Okay, Teneo community node, AI agent, Teneo dashboard. Okay, so what's the thing here? Install, connect, earn. Do you run AI on your computer, or is it spyware, or what's going on? Okay, just like give me a little bit of a hint in the chat about what this thing is and what we can do with Teneo. But I saw that it was onboarding a lot of users, right? All right. Yeah, feel free to explain it to me in chat. And with that, I'm gonna turn to, yeah. So I asked ChatGPT a few questions, and one of them was to compare to other projects, to compare peaq to other DePin projects, because I was feeling like as if I stay within the peaq ecosystem, it will be hard to compare it, but maybe we can get a little bit of a more realistic outlook. So let's look at this. So below is a snap. So my question was, make a comparison of peaq network with other relevant DePin ecosystems and how they compare in relevant KPIs. I was thinking that this might make a good contribution. And let me make this a little bit bigger for you. So ChatGPT says, there's a snapshot of how peaq stacks up against 6 of the most talked about DePin projects as of today. Figures refer to mainnet deployments only. Okay, we have peaq, 6 million machines, 50 plus DePin apps across, and then $69 million market cap, substrate based. Okay. We have IoTex, 20 million devices, 66 projects, 270 million. Helium. I remember I saw this really interesting screenshot. Maybe I can look it up in my bookmarks. But I saw this project of comparing different DePin projects, and they all had like huge spends. And then there was peaq and another one, and they were the only ones that did not spend millions, but they made actual protocol revenue. Not sure if it adds up. Okay, but we have 500 million market cap, 2 sub networks, and then they have 400,000 devices. It also depends, of course, what kind of device you have. Not every device is equally valuable. 170,000 cars, connected vehicle data. Okay, so this is, I guess, where Vago is also competing, Polygon-based. This runs on Solana. This is a layer 1 render. GPA rendering and AI compute, $2 billion, 2,000 active nodes, and it runs on Solana. I feel like I've heard of render. Akash, 500 GPUs, $300 million Cosmos SDK. Okay, so that's one of the ChatGPT queries that I did. Let me look up because I have 2 more. I'm just not sure what we had as the final result. Where is it? Yeah, I have this one for you, and that's it. After that, I think we're done with the stream for today. So I have developed my own fundamental analysis framework over the years, and I basically give it as input, and I say, hey, look into peaq based on my fundamental analysis framework. Okay, so let's see if it gives us anything additional, and maybe there's also a nice closing off of the session. It's also a nice summary. So what's the vision and mission of peaq? Power the machine economy. Sounds good. Let me make this a little bit bigger for you. So blockchain molecular DePin functions that let's builders tokenize. So it's a framework. If you're building with DePin, you go to peaq, and it allows you to have capital rails, to have an SDK to build, and to have a network of other projects to connect to. Cheap fees, super green design, fair. I guess this is important for many of the stakeholders. And the Peakonaut community. Peakonauts, press F in chat. Is this true? 70 regional Discord channels, this feels a little bit big. Founders publicly doxed and ActiveX and AMAs. Macro tailwind, $50 billion. The market, okay, so DePin market cap, $50 billion projected to 3.5 trillion by 2028. Machine economy, total addressable market, 1 trillion. Equipment as a service, niche forecast. Interesting. What does CAGR stand for? What does CAGR stand for? No. Okay. So only L1 purpose built for DePin plus EVM and WASM support, elastic scaling roadmap to 100,000 transactions per second. Bootstraps capital and coordination. Yeah, and they started as IoT, and then they pivoted to become a Polkadot parachain, and they are full L1 with DePin grants. Go to competitor, we just had them. Home of DePin and machine economy. Good. Till Wendler, Leonard Dolöster, good guy. They have like 15 to 200 people, headquarter in Singapore, engineering in Berlin, hire in Rust infra business development, $25 million in investments disclosed, and 350,000 Peakonauts. Why do we not have 350? We had 350 people in the stream, and there is 350,000 Peakonauts. Something is off here. Launched November 2024 mainnet. Yeah. Good. The ticker is peaq. Risks and challenges. Yeah, okay, you cannot market the machine revenue share as a return on invest. No KYC, no enforcement actions. Exchanges require full KYC. Okay. Dependence on Polkadot. Collateral maturing. On-chain governance. DePin hypes is hype cyclic. Okay. Yeah, where is the hype cycle right now regarding peaq? Universal machine time is an oracle, I see. So it's basically a time. Okay, interesting. $100 million collaboration. Good. All right. Compound annual growth rate. Good. I think that wraps it up. Thank you all for participating in the stream and the comments. This was a nice first look into peaq. We learned that they have a stack that focuses on providing capital and everything you need to get a DePin project onto blockchain. They have a good ecosystem of interesting projects, integrations, enterprise partners, wallets. Building out their DeFi suite. We looked at Teneo, Silencio, SkyX. Okay, let's check out the questions once more. The Dune dashboard. Yeah, I would say Dune dashboards are typically dependent on what's there, but you see that there's quite a lot of projects. Similar to Mythos. Yeah. So I would say I did not look too deeply into the tokenomics today. It is an interesting project. I would say, yeah, tokenomics would be a separate session. The thing you have to figure out for tokenomics is, do people and do projects, so do investors, no matter if it's institutional or retail, do they have a reason to buy the token? And that could, for example, be a revenue share. And then do projects have a reason to buy the token or engage with the token? And that is a discussion that we also have in Polkadot right now with the DOT token. But it's basically a question, does someone need to buy the token, number one, to lock up supply, which can drive the value? And the other thing is, does it generate some form of revenue? Is there income being produced? We had $22,000 in Q2, which is a start. And then you have to look a little bit into the fee model and where does the revenue come from? And these are the basic prospects. There is a whole model you can have on how you look at tokenomics. Maybe we do a video about that in the future. But yeah, that would be fairly sophisticated. And that's it. Thank you everyone for coming to the stream today. Thank you for participating and asking questions. This was really fun. I wish all of you a good day, good week, good start into the week. And yeah, let me know what other deep dives we could do. We're currently thinking about what other live streams we could do and maybe some long form videos about interesting stuff. Long form videos would be more condensed. They would be really focused on teaching something or doing, like, having everything very dense so that you learn quickly. And then we're looking into the live streams and having discussions here and making things fun, have a conversation and learn something together. So really good to have you. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and goodbye. And also big thank you to Full Pouch, who is here for the third stream in a row. And also thank you to Megan. It was really fun to talk with you. So yeah, let me know what other things we could look into in the future and make crypto more fun again. And also thank you, Sandra. Goodbye.